Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Chris O Show on Spotify, Apple Pods, YouTube, and soon other ones, but those are the main ones for now. Today, I have a fantastic special guest that I'm so grateful she's taking time out of her crazy busy schedule mid-season to chat with me. AFC Toronto captain, Emma Regan. Emma, thank you for joining me.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So, Emma, we'll just jump into it. I'm a longtime lover of all soccer and all football. Growing up playing coached, and I'm on the administration for our Muskoka teams. Even though my daughter plays in ball, and I drive far for her, and so what is it like knowing that there is this first ever women's league in Canada? What's that like for you?
It's very cool. I think it was something that we didn't really know that we were missing when we were growing up, my kind of age, my generation. But I think it's so cool. I think back to when I was watching the women's national team when they would play in Vancouver. I got to be a ball girl there. I got to watch their games and to look up to them was so cool. So I think it's full circle, and a lot of us are experiencing that from the other side now. So I think it's very cool. I'm really honored that, the timing of my career has worked out. So I got to be here for the first season.
That's awesome. And I love that you mentioned that, like growing up watching the national team. Now, who were some of your inspirations growing up? Do you have some of the heroes you grew up and said, I want to be like her, that's how I want to play.
Yeah, I think really the whole women's national team. I remember watching the 2012 Olympics,
Yep.
watching them win bronze. I remember like waking up at 4 or 5 in the morning with my dad to watch them. That game really, I think, for me and a lot of us, was kind of the first time we were like, whoa, that's something we could do. Those are some Canadian players, and that's what
Yep.
they can do. And then Christine Sinclair is from Burnaby. I'm from Burnaby, so that was, always someone that I idolized growing up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that whole team, that 2012 Olympic team, was just all role models for me.
Yeah, and I can appreciate that. I actually feel like that team transcended men and women. Like that was just a soccer team
Yeah,
everybody got behind.
yeah, for sure.
Everybody didn't matter, right? So, you see guys with Sinclair jerseys, and everybody oh, the women's team's on. We got to watch them. We got to support them. So, 100% that team, like, yeah, even more than the gold medal team. I think that team,
Yeah.
even though it was bronze, showed more for everybody.
Yeah, they started it. I think they really started the push. Women's soccer, everyone woke up and was like, whoa, okay,
Yeah.
that's what that team's about.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Speaking of the national team, you've been called up, you've had some caps. And so what's been that experience for you?
It's been really fun. Yeah, I think I was always involved in youth national teams growing up, and that was always a challenge and always something that we all wanted to be part of. And you are always kind of aspiring to eventually be on the senior team one day, but it seems so far away, and they seem so good and so much older that it's kind of hard to picture yourself there. But yeah, I've been really lucky to get some opportunities to prove myself there and hope to kind of continue that in the future. But I think it's something that is an amazing addition to my career, but I'm always just going to keep pushing for my club team, for whatever national team I'm involved in. I think I've realized that over the past couple of years that some things are just out of your control, and all you can do is just, work on yourself and push your game to the next level. And if those opportunities come your way, great.
Awesome. Awesome. That's a great attitude to have. That's good advice for everybody listening. All
I
the
think,
girls listening,
yeah,
that's good advice.
yeah, I think for young players, it's kind of you think that, if you don't make a team or something that your career's over and
Yeah.
and that's it, but it's really not the case. I think there's so many players that have different pathways to the national team. There's players that were never involved in youth teams. There's players that made every single camp and then they're not involved in the senior
Yeah.
team. So yeah, I think it's a journey. Your career is a marathon, not a sprint. And I think it took me kind of not being selected for a couple years to realize that and to step away and say, okay, you know what? I wasn't selected for the team, but life goes on. I didn't die. I'm still here. I still
Yeah.
can, make the next one. And I think it's a really important realization to come to that soccer is just, a piece of your life and
Yep.
something that we all really love and we want to make the next thing, but it's just one part.
100%. And it's the journey too. Like you
Yeah.
said, you took a step back and you kind of appreciated things for where they were. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's amazing advice. That's probably the best advice I've ever gotten. And I've spoken to a lot of people about soccer, and that's probably the best advice ever.
Thanks. Thanks.
Um, I was gonna ask, speaking of national team, when you got called up, you were playing in Denmark. Is
Yes.
that correct? And
Mhm.
so what was your experience like playing overseas, being away from home and being in Denmark playing?
I mean, I was used to the being away from home aspect. I had been away from home for 4 years playing in college in Texas. So, that part you kind of get used to and only seeing your parents twice a year. Sorry, mom and dad. They come and see and visit whenever they can. But yeah, I loved it. I really loved living in Europe. I loved the different culture over there. I think sometimes I miss that. It's
Mhm.
just so different from here in North America, and I think that's something I'm so grateful to soccer for, allowing me to live in all these different places. But yeah, absolutely love Denmark. Definitely recommend going to Copenhagen. If anyone's doing a Euro trip, you need to go there. It's a
Right.
really, really cool city. And yeah, I think it was kind of the perfect place to start my career. It was a league that was, maybe not too highly touted, but in my opinion, like super technical, a lot
Yeah.
of really good Danish players, younger Danish players that start out there and then move on to, really big teams in
Yeah.
Europe. So it was a great first place to land. I got super lucky, met some amazing people, had great coaches. So I really loved my time there.
Awesome. Awesome. I love that because it is super technical there, and Danish football is it's solid. It's really like if you watch it, it's really solid play, men or women, but everybody. And so I'm glad you said that. That's amazing that you got that experience. And so you went from Texas to Denmark. What was it like kind of that transition? I know we talked about the technical side and a little bit different lifestyle in Europe, which anyone who's been there, we know like that's the case. But what was the coaching and things like in the US at the NCAA level?
Hi, everyone. Quick break in the action. Right now is where one of you should be putting your sponsorship and putting your products or your services on display to all our listeners, all our watchers, all our followers, everybody, right here, right now. So reach out and we'll hook you up. We'll get you into the next podcast and we'll spread your word for you. Take care. Ciao for now.
Yeah, NCAA definitely very different from the European style of play. I think it's much more athletic. Players in the US are that's a big focus for them. And so it's
Yeah.
a little bit more direct and there's a big emphasis on, finishing and being up top and just kind of quickest way to goal. And so that taught me a lot. I think I was also a defender back then, so it
Okay.
taught me a lot about defending and yeah, the physicality of that. I really have, brought that to the other teams that I've played in my career. I think that was a big one. And then, yeah, as I said, in Denmark, it was a lot more tactical. We
Yeah.
played like passing patterns and possession drills, basically all training, which I loved. I think I'm really suited to that as a player and as a midfielder. I loved it. I remember my first session there, we played this possession drill, and I was kind of in the middle. The midfielders were all neutral. So, you don't want to give the ball away when
Yeah,
you're a
yeah.
player. You kind of have that pressure, but it was just like pinging around, and I was like, yeah, this is, I think, a spot for me. So, yeah, I think it's super interesting to be able to play in different countries and then, come to the NSL again. I think different again. I think it's a little bit of a mix, maybe. It's brings some of the athleticism and, we have a lot of Americans in the league, so that's
Yeah.
definitely a big factor. But I think, our team is trying to play that possession type football and be exciting and combine and,
Yeah.
play, one twos in the midfield. Like us
Yeah.
midfielders are always looking for that. So yeah, it's all been different, but I think I've learned things and taken things each time.
That's awesome. And you get to bring it here. Now, do you like sometimes say to your teammates, "Hey, this is something we can try," or you talk to your coaches as the captain and say, "This is stuff we could try. This is something I've seen work in my other parts of my career."
Yeah, I think as players, we kind of have those little conversations off the side. Maybe something breaks down, doesn't quite work. We kind of come together and say, okay, how can we kind of collaborate and fix that? And I think that's something I really like about our team. We're, really open with each other and kind of bouncing ideas off of each other. And our coach really gives us the freedom to do that, especially offensively. It's very much like blank slate. You guys bring what you want to bring. This is,
Yeah.
the structure we're going to start in, but he wants us to be creative and bring that out of each other. So I think that's been a real positive of this team.
That's awesome. I mean, and it's rare. A lot of coaches have their things, but I love that it's like be creative. It's like here's our
Mhm.
formation and here's kind of what we're looking to do. But if you're out there and you see stuff, be
Yeah.
free to try stuff.
Yeah.
That's
For sure.
and that'll help you be a better player
For
because
sure.
you're
Yeah.
using your mind more. That's awesome. That's good coaching. That's
Yeah.
really good. That's
Yeah.
good. Um, on that note, I was gonna say, you guys, speaking of your play and speaking of AFC Toronto, first place, right? Season's been relatively successful so far, we would say. What are some of the goals for the rest of this season with 7 games left as this recording, 6 games left when it airs? I went and double checked the number of games. So what's kind of the goals for the rest of the season for the team?
We want to win the league. I think that's, the main one. I think I've always been one to say that is kind of an outcome thing. We want to focus on the process of getting there. And, as you say, we've had a relatively successful season, but we've definitely had ups and downs. It has not been straightforward. We've had games that, we want back, and we've had ones that we've probably, balls have bounced our way, and we did get, some lucky bounces out of it. So, I think for us, we're really focused on the process and taking it game by game. We just want the next win and the next good performance. And we know that when we play our best, we're able to compete with any team in the league, and we're able to put that good product out there. So I think it's just finding that, and for us getting into that rhythm into each game. Sometimes it's not going to be perfect. The other team's going to score first. We have to be adaptable to that and bounce back. And I think that's something that we have been good at this year, especially maybe we come off a bad loss the next game, we're right back on it. So I think that's the focus. And yeah, our goal is definitely that final at BMO.
That's what I was gonna bring that up. So BMO, like I was at the first game.
Okay.
Me and my daughter and a couple of her teammates, we sat in the supporters section.
Yes.
I feel like BMO would be just crazy rocking if AFC Toronto was in that final at home. And like what's been your experience with that? Because I know York Stadium's a little smaller, so there's that intimate vibe, and you got your fans and everything
Mhm.
there. It's a good crowd, but BMO is a different atmosphere, right? And so
Yeah.
what was that experience like the couple times you got to play there?
I love playing there. I think it's an amazing pitch. Yeah, I love our home stadium at York. I think it's been great. I think for the first year in the league, having it look so full is great for us, and having the support of everyone come has been amazing. So yeah, I think that's been a great field for us to play at. But BMO definitely, when we get to play there, kind of is different. It's just the stage, and
Yeah.
you get to play on grass. All of that is super nice. So unfortunately, I'm sorry, we're still looking for our first win
Yeah,
there. I'm
no.
sorry we had to be there at
I
the
wasn't gonna say anything. I
Yeah,
wasn't gonna say
I'll
anything.
acknowledge it. I'll acknowledge it. Yeah, our track record is not so good there, but I think yeah, we're still really pushing for that final, and I
Yeah.
think if that could be done at BMO, it would be the cherry on top of the season for sure.
Well, hey, what better way to get your first win at BMO
Exactly.
than the final,
Yeah,
right?
and everyone will forget about the first two if we do that.
That's
So we
it.
just
That's all.
gotta,
If you could just get that one,
yeah,
we don't have to worry about anything else, right?
yeah,
So what a better place.
yeah.
That's awesome. I was just looking at my notes to make sure I didn't forget anything. It's just what we wanted to talk about, but we've run through so many things, and it's just awesome. I love that you're the AFC Toronto captain. I love that you've been able to inspire so many girls. I mean, right away, my daughter and some of her friends were like, "That's my favorite player." Emma Regan's my favorite player right away, like out of nowhere, right? They're like, "She's our captain. She's our home captain. She's our favorite player." So. And I want to thank you for being so kind when you met them all.
Of
So,
course, yeah.
so that was
No,
awesome.
that's so sweet of them. That's so special to hear. So thank you.
No, oh,
Appreciate the support,
it's my
girls.
pleasure. And so I guess just one last question. We went over a few of the good advice pieces for the young players already. Is there anything else you would say that you would tell a young player aspiring to play professionally, to play on the national team, to keep growing, to go to the States or even in Canada and play in university?
Yeah, I think definitely what I touched on before.
Yeah.
There's no one pathway, so do not be deterred if, you're plan A doesn't work out. I think everything happens for a reason. So I think there's a pathway for everyone. There's a place to play for everyone. And I think just keeping to work hard when maybe you haven't hit that next goal, that is the biggest time. It's easy to work hard when everything's going your way and you kind of have the motivation, but I think when, maybe you didn't make the team or you didn't make the camp, a lot of people will kind of shy away from that challenge. But I think if you're able to push through and double down and really be working when no one's watching you, maybe it's not just when, you're at training with your coaches or that there's a scout going to be there. You have to put in the work consistently because when those high pressure moments come, you have to be able to perform. So, yeah, I think don't take it too seriously. Soccer is fun. It's supposed to be fun,
Yeah.
especially when you're growing up. Have fun with it. And, there's so many different journeys that you can take. You have to have fun along the way. Eventually, you'll get there, whatever
Yeah.
that looks like. It'll work out in the end.
That's awesome. Great advice. Great advice from Captain Emma. That's your new nickname,
Oh
Captain
gosh,
Emma.
I don't know about that.
I love it. No, but thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for the great advice and a wonderful conversation. That's
Thank
awesome.
you so much. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and share what we're doing with your friends so they can have a listen too. Ciao for now.